Hello everyone. So the next topic which we will be going to discuss is about the role of micro and the macronutrients. So micronutrients are those that is present in the large quantities, and the macronutrients are those that are present in very small quantities. So let's start with the first slide. So macronutrients are those that are present in very large quantities, that is around 1000 mg per kg of the dry matter, and they are referred to as the macronutrients. So this is one of the mineral essential element, and they are further divided into two parts, that is macronutrients and the micronutrients. So here macronutrients are those that are present in very large quantities. So examples of these are nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. So these are some of the mineral essential elements that are present in very abundant quantity in the plants. So we will be discussing each of these elements in detail and the of these elements in detail. So first is nitrogen. So it is a mineral element that requires in the greatest amount. So it is one of the element that is present in greatest amount in case of the plants. It serves as a constituent of amino acids, amides, proteins, nucleic acids, coenzymes, and others. So these are some of the constituents of the nitrogen. So nitrogen is also required for the division of the cell. So what happens is nitrogen is present in such an abundant quantity, and it is responsible for the growth and the development of the plants. So this is the macronutrient. Then next comes the phosphorus. So it is a component of sugar phosphates, nucleic acids, coenzymes, phospholipids, and they have a major role in reactions in which ATP is involved. So they're involved in the ATP production, or they're involved in the energy generation of the plants. So if any of these is absent in the plant, it will lead to the retardation or it will lead to the death of the plant. So any of these essential elements that are present in a large amount will be absent, that will affect the growth and development of the plant. So next essential element or macronutrient is potassium. So it plays an important role in the regulation of the osmotic potential. It is required as a cofactor for more than 40 enzymes. So it is a cofactor for more than 40 enzymes, and it is a principal cation in establishing the cell turgor and maintaining the neutrality of the plants. So they help in the cell turgor pressure, and also it plays a major role in the osmotic potential of the plant. So osmotic potential is when there is a movement of molecules from a concentration of high concentration to a concentration which is lower concentration. So this is the osmotic potential, and potassium plays a major role in the regulation of the osmotic potential. Calcium, another macronutrient which serves as a constituent of the middle lamina of the cell walls. So cell walls are present in the plants, so it is a constituent of middle lamella of the cell wall. It is required as a cofactor by some enzymes, and it is involved in the hydrolysis of ATP and the phospholipids. So it is involved in the hydrolysis of ATP and phospholipids. It also acts as a secondary messenger in the metabolic regulation. So it also acts as a secondary metabolite in the regulation, secondary messenger in metabolic regulation. Next comes the magnesium. So it is required by many enzymes, and it is involved in the phosphate transfer, which serves as a constituent of chlorophyll molecules. So chlorophyll is very essential part of the plant, so which helps in the formation of the food for the plant, or the glucose production is there. So it is required by many enzymes, and it is involved in the phosphate transfer, which serves as a constituent of the chlorophyll molecule. Sulfur, which is a component of cysteine, methionine and proteins. So it is a component. It is a constituent of lipoic acid, coenzymes A, thymine, pyrophosphate, lithonine, biotin, adenosine 5-pyrophosphate and 3-phosphoadenosine. So these are some of the constituents of the sulfur. Next comes, these were all about the macronutrients. Then next comes the micronutrients, which are present in very small quantity in the case of plants. So it should be equal to or less than 1000 mg per kg of the dry matter. So some of the examples of the micronutrients are boron, copper, iron, chloride, manganese, molybdenum, zinc and chlorine. So these are some of the examples of the micronutrients. So we will be discussing these micronutrients in detail about their role and what role does they play in the case of the plants. So first comes is the iron, which has an important role as a constituent of cytochromes and non-heme iron proteins, which is involved in the photosynthesis, nitrogen fixation and the respiration. So it helps in the activation of the enzymes. So it will help in the activation of the enzymes. Manganese. So manganese is a kind of micronutrient that is involved in the photosynthesis process and the respiration process in case of the plants, and they are triggered, this reaction is being triggered by the manganese only. So it also helps in the splitting of water during the photosynthesis. So when the process of photosynthesis takes place in plants, the manganese plays a role in the splitting of water. Zinc and copper. So zinc and copper, both are involved in the initiation of certain enzymes. They are involved in the pollen germination, they are involved in the cell elongation and germination. So when the when in a flowering plants there is a sexual reproduction which takes place and the elongation of the pollen tube which takes place, it is because of the certain micronutrients, that is zinc and copper. So they help in the process of the germination of the flowering plants. Then comes the boron. Boron is found in the cell walls, which is complex with raffinose, and in the phloem, which is complex with sorbitol. So phloem, it is responsible for the transport of mineral in the plants. So it is complex with sorbitol. So it is basically, boron is found in the cell wall. It makes complexes like mannitol, mannan, polyminoric acid and other constituents of cell wall, and they're also involved in the cell elongation and nucleic acid metabolism. So they're involved in these kinds of functions or the processes in case of the plants. So this was all about the role of macro and micronutrients.